Hi everyone. So today we're going to look at a very important question, which is how do we analyze these houses when there are no planets here? A lot of people would ask the question, how do I how do I understand what my future spouse will be like when there are no planets here, right? This house is completely empty. How do I understand my mother when there are no houses here? How do I understand even myself? This lugna is empty as well, right? So there are only 9 planets and there are 12 houses. So everyone is guaranteed to have a couple of empty houses. So what we do to analyze these houses, and this is really the first thing you should always do when looking at any house, but especially these empty houses, is you always look at the sign that's over here. Because this zodiac sign that's here will give a lot of clues to the person's uh, to the energy that's in this house. So over here, if this person had asked, what will their spouse be like? Since this house is empty, I look at the sign over here, and this is Gemini. So I use the traits of Gemini here in the predictions, right? So you would say something like the spouse will like to tell a lot of jokes. They like comedy. They're very friendly. They're very talkative. And they might like to read a lot, or they might like to journal by themselves, right? These are all characteristics of Gemini. So you would use some of those traits with your prediction here. Even if, let's say if you're looking at other houses, if you're looking at this person's career and they had asked about career, so you look at the 10th house. So even before I look at the planets, I need to look at the sign first because this sign gives the overall energy that's here in this 10th house, which again, this is another Mercury sign. And so what we'll say about this, right, just using the sign are things like your work will have something to do with a lot of analytical work. It'll have to do something with calculations. It could have something to do with like uh, if the right planets are involved, then like law could be involved here. Uh, but you use this, right? A lot of speaking, a lot of calculations. There'll be uh, a lot of like analysis or a lot of questions that are being asked. Some of these traits will be involved with the person's career because that's the energy of the sign, right? And then once you tackle that, then you look at the planets here and add their energy, the energy of these planets to the prediction of their career, right? So Mercury is here, Venus and Jupiter, right? So you tack on their energy to this house. So, and that even goes for this, right? So here there are no planets, and as I said, you just go with the traits of Gemini. So once you've done that, you could even do like 20, 30 predictions just from Gemini alone, right? I gave some before. So let's say if you wanted, let's say if you want to go a bit beyond and just the sign. The next thing you want to look at is any aspects that are coming to this house because aspects are super, super important. So in this chart, it looks like the only aspects like full aspect onto here is from Rahu. So Rahu has his ninth aspect over here. So what we'll say now is that we mentioned books earlier, right? So let's say that now Rahu amplifies things. He gives you a lot of things, right? So we'll say that this person, your spouse, will have a big collection of books, a big library. They would have collected a lot of books in their life. You could also say that uh, this person did a lot of writing. They may have like pages and pages, right? Because Rahu has an excessive amount, and they keep these things around. You'll see if you walk into the room that they'll have a huge collection of books or pages that they would write in. So that's how you add the energy of Rahu here, right? Rahu, and so this is the energy of Mercury, and then here you add Rahu. This person will be very clever. You'll see that this person will be very good at things like writing essays or things like English class or learning languages. This person will be very good at, they'll be very naturally talented because Rahu doesn't take much learning in school to learn things. He could catch on to any subject very quickly. So the energy of Rahu and Mercury are being mixed here to do that. So you combine both of those to say, to mix the traits in this house. So after you look at the sign and the any aspects that come to this house, next what you would want to do is, and this is very important and is often overlooked, is the pada that falls over here, right? So these are Gemini padas. So I use a certain calculation for this. You can see my setting here. Uh, so go to related calculations, come down to Aruta padas, right? So these are the settings I use for the calculations. So over here we have the pada of A10 over here. So you'll see now mix all three of these things. Let's say you could even go solo with just A10 here. So if you wanted to go solo without using anything else, without using the sign or Rahu's aspect, if you just wanted to use A10, what you'll say here is that your spouse will be involved with your career because Pada of A10, right? This carries the energy of the 10th house, right? So you'll see that your spouse has a lot of involvement with your career. They'll actually have a very big involvement and a lot of say. They'll be very, they'll make some very important decisions for you. A lot of important events that'll happen to you with your career, your spouse will be involved with it. And this is guaranteed in this person's chart. It's also like a double confirmation because the Lord of the seventh house is going into the 10th house. So again, the spouse has control over this person's career and will have a lot of say over it. I wouldn't say control per se, in the sense that, your spouse will make you do this and that, but they'll play like a very important role either in helping you find a job or getting like figuring out what you really want to do in life. So now you can mix all three, right? So look at the energy of Gemini and let's combine just Gemini and A10, right? So your spouse will be involved with the paperwork of your career. Somehow they'll be involved with this. Uh, some type of calculations with your career, they'll be involved with this and helping you do that. Maybe they'll help you understand some of the fine print or reading like the terms or regulations because Gemini is also about, those read the terms and services, that kind of stuff. Gemini is also about this. So your spouse will be involved looking at those terms and conditions, for example. That's one thing that they'll help you with. Now if you really want to mix in even more, Rahu, let's put in that third element, Rahu, that comes over here. So Rahu, Rahu, Gemini, and A10, right? So Rahu's aspect here, what'll happen is there's going to be an involvement where there'll be some kind of not cheating per se, but maybe it's at work, the company might rip you off, like or steal some money from you, some money that they should have owed you, but they're not giving it to you. So right? Because Rahu's all about cheating. So your spouse will be involved in looking at the fine prints or looking at the terms and conditions and to find loopholes in this in your career. So that's how the big karmic event will come out of this, right? And there's absolutely no planets here, and you're still able to get one big major event out of this. And there are so many more they could go at. I just gave an example like this. If you wanted to look at, let's say this person's a fourth house, it's empty, right? So there are a lot of things you can see here. You can look at like your future home. When you live on your own, what will your house look like later on? Or your vehicle, because fourth house is also vehicle, or your mother, right? This house is empty, but let's look at the sign over here, which is Pisces. So Pisces is a sign of isolation, of foreign lands. So there's an maybe this person might be attracted to living in places in a different country, or might want to go to a different place to live. This is the first clue that you can pick up from this. They might like to live alone or away from a lot of other people. With their, in terms of their vehicle, maybe they might get a vehicle that's made in a different country. They might like vehicles that are made, let's say, from Germany or from the US or something like this, or from Europe, right? Maybe they might like cars that come from different places, right? So now to add the flavor of this, look at any aspects, and there are quite a few over here: Venus, Mercury, Jupiter. So all of these guys are aspecting this house over here. So what we could say about this, right? First thing is that Venus is aspecting. So when Venus aspects, Venus and Mercury both aspect. So when this happens, they might like a foreign vehicle, a vehicle that comes from a different country, and they would like this. The reason that they're getting a vehicle from a different country is because it might be fancy, right? Because Venus makes luxurious items. So they might like vehicles that are fancy or very luxurious in nature. And Mercury's here, so Mercury adds a lot of like multiplicity. That's the word. So they might like to have a lot of different items. So get they might like to try a lot of different vehicles. They might even have two, three vehicles that are from a different country here. And you could also use Jupiter here. Jupiter's aspect. You could use Jupiter's aspect here to say Jupiter likes expansive big things. So they might get like a big vehicle that has these properties that a luxurious and many vehicles. You might have a lot of vehicles that are luxurious and that are very big that come from a different country. And this is also true as well. Maybe where this person would want to live, maybe that they go to a foreign country where it's a more rich neighborhood. These are all benefits that are aspecting this house. So this means okay, there's also Saturn. I forgot to add Saturn here. Um, so with Saturn over here as well. So let's add Saturn's aspect to this analysis here. So with Saturn's aspect as well, they'll probably move to a different country to find a job because Saturn's about job, right? And all these planets are aspecting from the 10th house of career. So they might move to a different country due due to a career or to get a different career. And while they're there, they may get a vehicle that has those properties that I mentioned. So that's how you combine all of those. And over here, the pada is, I know it says AL, that means uh, L is for Lugna. So this is actually the pada of like A1 technically. So it has the energy of the Lugna. So this means that this will be a very life-changing event for this person and a very karmic thing because it involves the energy of the Lugna, as well as you could say here, because Lugna is about you and yourself, you could say that this person would have moved on their own accord. They're not being forced by anybody. They chose themselves to leave and to go to a different country to do this. So that's a little bit of an analysis that you could do with some of these empty houses, right? So the three things that you look at are the padas, the aspects, and the sign. Those are three things that you look at. If you really want to go a bit more in depth here, so let's say if you wanted to look more into what your spouse will look at, you could also look at the Kataka of this house, which is Venus. So look at Venus and its states and any planets conjunct with Venus, and this will also give you more informations about your spouse. If you want to know more about your mother, for example, then look at Moon over here, the Kataka, right? You could also, if you still wanted more information about this seventh house, then there's probably a divisional chart that's dedicated right for it. So let's look at this person's D9, for example, and we'll see that their D9, okay, of course, also has no planets here, but it still has a sign. It has a lot of padas over here and has planets aspecting it. So you could use this whole divisional chart to understand your spouse. And there are many other charts here dedicated to different aspects. Septamsha, if you want to look at your children, D10 for your career, right? So those are other tips and tricks that you could do to look at if you want more in-depth analysis of some of these empty houses. You could look if you wanted to look at your insurance or in-laws or any type of funeral thing, you can look at D8, right? Ashtamsha for this information. So those are a couple of tips and tricks that you could do with these empty houses to help you with the analysis. I hope this helps, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you like this content. Thank you.